And we get to set, and Seth Green comes up to me and he goes, Ashley, what? And like, we're both like, what? And like, he was so cool.
I love that.
And he's like, oh my God, guys, me and Ashley. Because it was
friends.
just so crazy.
Yeah.
And Alana's like, Ashley, your audition was so funny. You're hilarious. And I was like, this is literally my dream come true.
Yeah. Hi, hello, and welcome to the Lives I've Lived podcast. I'm Megan Asa, and this is episode 6 with the lovely Ashley Bornancin. In this episode, Ashley shares about her 10 plus years working in the film industry and the twists, turns, and challenges along the way. Ashley is an Ohio native, she's currently a corporate girly, and she's an avid content creator. Whenever I meet up with Ashley, I know 2 things: that I'll laugh and that I'll walk away encouraged. I hope after listening, you feel the same. Ashley Bornancin.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for hanging out in my living room.
I love it. I requested some tea from Megan.
What flavor did you get?
I got Moroccan mint green tea from Trader Joe's, which is always a win. It is pumpkin spice season, and I already drank 2 cups of pumpkin spice this morning, so I'm pumpkin spice queen, so some tea at night's probably a good thing.
Love that for you.
I'd love it for me, too.
Trader Joe's is always a win. So.
It's always a win. Also, for anyone out there who's spending way too much at Starbucks these days, I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
I randomly did this week because I needed a little PSL. $7, folks.
From Starbucks.
Yeah. Can
It's
we
too
just
much.
take that in?
It's too much.
That's the price of a salad in 2004.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, no.
Yeah.
So, make it at home
Yeah.
from Trader Joe's.
It's a harsh reality these days.
It's very sad, harsh reality.
So, Ashley, can you give me in like 2 sentences just like a snapshot of what your life looks like today?
Currently, I work in corporate communications for a Fortune 500 company in Columbus, Ohio, at one of the headquarters. I have a fiance and a little mini golden doodle named Luca.
So cute.
So cute. And I also am a content creator, and I make travel videos with my fiance on our YouTube channel called Ashley and Alan. A video I just posted, I genuinely made it, and I started a destination wedding series because I was looking up videos of like how to have a destination wedding. I was like,
Because you are having a destination wedding.
yes. I was like, how do you do this? So I was like, here's what a site visit is, like as a bride, like here's what you do. Here's our like resort. Here's, I took them through. And not that it's a ton, but it got like 1,500 views in a couple weeks. And I was like, that's pretty good on YouTube, like for our small channel right now. And it's gotten us some attention that is getting us opportunities. So I'm like,
I love that.
Oh, that's dope. Like,
I love that.
Yeah, like you don't have to have necessarily like a ton of views. It's like the quality. It made us see like, oh my gosh, like I love this so much. I've always loved it. I was a travel content creator 10 years ago when I got out of college for like an Italian like program. I like got a scholarship, and
I didn't know that.
That's how I started.
Wait, were you in Italy?
Yeah.
For this program?
Yeah, for 2 months. And that video has like 70,000 views. That's how it all started. But that travel vlogging at that time, at least
that was a different
in
time.
my knowledge, like wasn't a thing, or else I would have done it. It just wasn't a thing in my knowledge.
Sure.
So, and I was poor. I was like, 18 or whatever. Or I guess you're not 18 graduating from college, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway.
Thanks again for taking the time to be here. It's such a delight for me. And one, just because I love you and I think you're great. But it's also like sharing the story of like how we met and how we know each other and how we ended up living in the same state for the second time is like so fun for me to tell.
It's wild.
Yeah. So we met in Seattle.
Yeah.
When we were teenagers. We were like 18, 19.
Yep.
And we only knew each other for like a handful of months, but I feel like we clicked and we like got along and I remember going out to Starbucks with you. Speaking of Starbucks, when it was
that's where I got
$3 cheaper
in Seattle.
But I remember meeting with you and hanging out, and it was so fun to talk to you because you were also you are also a creative person, and you had all these beautiful dreams and passions, which obviously we'll talk about today. And I remember at the time you were creating like reels might not be the right word, but like samples of your voice work. And at the time there was like a popular cartoon and you took a slice of it and muted it and then did like the main girl's
Kim Possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was like, I remember you telling me about that, and like I might have even watched a clip that you had, and I was like, this girl is so cool. And I can't wait to like watch her journey. And now like over 10 years later, yeah, how old are we? It's more than 10 years.
Old.
I got to watch the journey. It's been so fun.
Aww.
Yeah.
I know, what a wild ride.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a world that existed. It was that casting directors in Seattle on camera told me, you should do cartoons. I'm like, what? Like, what's that? Those are people.
Those were computers.
I know. You know, when you just like don't put two and two together, you're just like, I've never cared. I was not a kid that really watched that many cartoons. It was so crazy because I felt like God brought me to Seattle. It was my mom's best friend who was a Tai Chi instructor who actually was the one who told me to get into acting, and I did an acting competition in Los Angeles. That's what actually originally got me to Los Angeles.
Wait.
Okay.
It was a Tai Chi instructor that told you to go do acting?
She's amazing. Her name, shout out to Deborah McGullinese. She was my mom's best friend in Seattle.
Oh my God.
They would get little coffees. They called them like naughty coffees because they would get like alcohol in them. And
I love that.
it was so cute. And I remember I was like in, broadcasting or whatever. And she's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I guess like be a broadcaster. But she's like, what do you really want to do? I was like, I don't know, like acting is cool. She's like, you're 19 and you're giving up on your dreams. So she started sending me like Craigslist auditions and like,
that's so supportive.
Yeah, it was just a wild ride. Like anyone who is an artist knows that there's no right way to do it, and two, like it's always stumbling into it,
Sure,
right? Like there's always like 10 different ways.
Yeah.
And for me it was Craigslist that started it, which just sounds absolutely outrageous now. But I remember some of those auditions I'd go on from Craigslist were like, you should not be going to people's homes, and I would.
Did you have a buddy?
No.
Oh, yeah,
No.
that's sketch.
No. But it was people in Seattle that like introduced me to a Christian college, and Seattle kind of changed my life because it introduced me to you guys, and I had always been raised Catholic. And then I met people from Biola, which is the Bible Institute of Los Angeles, and it all kind of like meshed together because I was able to do this acting competition, got signed, like won a couple awards and first place in some different things. And then my parents allowed me to go to LA by like saying I had to finish school. So I was like, okay, I'll go to Biola.
Sure.
Yeah. So it was perfect because I knew I didn't want to go to a state school. And I knew if I go to LA, I do want to go to a Christian school because I was, like I do want to learn more about my faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started at Indiana University. And then my parents, it was the 2008 crash, for anyone who remembers that.
Yeah.
Crisis. And my father lost his job. So he finally got a job in Seattle, but I lost all my scholarships. We didn't have money. So I had minimum 2 jobs. I didn't have a car, so I was taking the bus. My dad was driving me everywhere. So it was like literal hustle mode. I'm not going to like sugarcoat that season. It was super, super hard. But it's like, I think those are the times where you're like, am I going to go down? Yeah. Or am I going to freaking rise? Because that's the only talk about survival mode you and I were talking about right before the podcast. Yeah. It's like we have to survive, and then we have to get out of survival mode and thrive.
Yeah.
I just want to encourage anyone like going through that, like, you will get through that. And if you have to cut, whatever you have to do, just like stay focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like do whatever it takes. And one last thing, and then I'll move on. Leave your pride at the door. Like if you have to take that second job, you have to take the restaurant job, it doesn't matter. I feel like so many people let pride get in the way, and it just doesn't matter. Who cares? Like if it's going to feed your family, if it's going to help, who cares? Like there's no room for pride,
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. So you're in Seattle, your family is going through a hard time.
Yeah.
And part of the hardship with that is not only finances, but your mom got sick.
Yes. So my mom started developing, which is crazy that they didn't have a name for this at the time. I feel like we're like those old grandparents that are like, back in the day, kids. No, I mean, they had a name, Alzheimer's, but they couldn't pair what she had. Like they weren't pairing that. So she basically developed early onset Alzheimer's, dementia. Literally started when I was 18 years old. Yeah. Started getting bad when I was 19 years old in Seattle, but they couldn't tell us what it was, which as a kid is very frustrating. So my mom can't work, she can't drive. Wow. So as a kid who's growing up in a very productive environment where, hustle culture. So I just want to give you the context. Like I'm 19 years old. Yeah. So I'm like, Mom, like, why aren't you working? Like, let's go get you a job. Like, it's like, he's so dumb. Or like, Mom, let's go to a coffee shop and let's work on, are you going to volunteer it? It's like, girl, she can't even like put on her clothes. But like, then she could, it's like slowly getting worse and worse. Yeah. But dang. I don't think it really hit me that it was so bad until when she couldn't and this was when I was 19, keys to the door. And then I was like, shoot. And that's when it was like, I'm literally going to church 3 times a week. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, Lord, hear my prayer. So yeah.
But that's when reality was setting in. Like, I mean, that had to be so hard.
Yes, it was definitely super hard. I'm going to try not to get like super emotional. It's very hard season right now currently because I am getting married this year. Yeah. So you don't realize until you're in like wedding season and you're getting closer to your wedding how much mothers play a significant role in the wedding process. So that's been like really hard. But I think the worst thing about Alzheimer's and dementia, and I feel so bad for like even as silly as this sounds, like the celebrities that are developing them. Like I just saw like Bruce Willis and certain things because I would never wish that upon anyone. I think it's the absolute worst disease that you can get because it's like everlasting. Like who knows how long. It just like can last so long. Like she had it for 10 years. So wow. Or almost 10 years. So she had it from when I was 19 to 27. So it was just so hard. Yeah. So hard. And when she passed, even that was another like roller coaster because I felt like I had like soaked up so much time with her because eventually, like when I moved to California, my parents were able to move like shortly after, like 3 months after or something.
So they were like kind of nearby.
Oh yeah, they were super nearby. That's and cool. Then I eventually moved up to Los Angeles and lived with them and helped take care of her the whole time. But even when I was going to school at Biola, I would leave class and help take care of her. So it was ongoing the entire time of being her caregiver with my father. My father was the number one. Why I say it was like another emotional roller coaster at 27 was, this is going to sound terrible, but like you kind of feel like you lost your 20s.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Because it's consumed with taking care of your mom, which normally a 27-year-old is not taking for their mom and helping them get dressed and eat and
Yeah. So it was like, it's so like weird. It was so weird to process because I felt like I was like 21 again, but I'm like now nearing 30 at that point, So I'm like, what? Like I felt so young and so I'm like, I should have been like living on my own this whole time and I wasn't. I should have been developing these skills. But then at the same time, a few years after that, I felt like I like accelerated super fast, like mentally, because I had so many skills my peers didn't have.
Like real life.
Emotional
skills.
intelligence.
Yeah.
Like what it's like to take care of someone. Like I know what it's like to take care of a child. Like, I know what that, I'm not naive. I don't know. There's just so much that I'm like, I feel like I can relate to a lot.
Yeah.
And I also just like, I feel like it really lit a fire in my brother and I, which I think we always had just innately, but I think it lit a fire in us that life is very, very short. And what are we going to do with our time? And I listened to something recently and I was like, ooh, that's basically how we live, which is of talking about just like your gas tank each day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's put into words exactly how I feel like we're like. And I always try to explain to people and I realized, oh, not everyone thinks this way. I'm like, we genuinely try to use each day like as if our gas tank is like completely exhausted.
Yeah.
And if I don't, I genuinely feel like, what did I just do with my day? Now I've learned to balance that because now I see like rest days as like equally like you filled up
important.
Your tank. Yeah.
Like matter,
Before I did it.
Yeah. What a waste of time taking a break.
Yeah, I'm like an hour of Netflix wasted my entire tank of gas.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, wow, we could use like another 5 episodes of Emily in Paris.
I mean, and I can imagine kind of going back to what you're saying about struggling with this thought of like, you love your mom, you're sacrificing school and your 20s to take care of her, and that tension of, obviously I'm going to say yes to my mom and my family. Maybe not obviously, but I think for us, obviously, we're going to say yes to my mom and my family. And then having, after that season, looking back and like having to process like, oh, but that means I guess my 20s looked a lot different than most people's 20s. And that's a lot. That's a lot to process.
So it did, but at the same time, it was this like beautiful balance of like my dad really trying to like give everything to set her care up for like as much success as possible, and also like really help support like them. Now, mind you, his job was in California. So a lot of our family would have loved them to have been in Ohio. There was just no job for them in Ohio, unfortunately, because, the whole family's in Ohio. That would have been great. But I still did get to chase the acting. So there was a balance of, I do think I had this insane emotional, I say financial, I don't mean like they were giving me money or anything, but I did live with them, paid significantly less in rent. Like there was this balance. Now there was a balance of like helping take care of my mom as well.
Yeah.
But, it all like blends together of like, one, I would never have chosen anything different. I think it was all like designed the way it was like supposed to happen. And 2, I don't know if I could have done Los Angeles emotionally without them. Because I didn't stay in Los Angeles very much longer without them.
That is interesting.
Because it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Whoa. But it was also the pandemic and Los Angeles shut down. So I don't know. But when you think about it, like LA is just like such a grind. And it has to be worth it. I always tell everyone, like, if you love it and you love Hollywood and you love the entertainment industry, you'll just do it. Yeah. But if you don't, you'll find a reason to leave. And everyone that would visit, I would tell them that same statement. Because they'd be like, traffic, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. But, like, if you're here, you don't care. Yeah. But then it wasn't worth it to me anymore. Yeah. And that wasn't too much longer. It was like at 2020. It was 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. So having that emotional, so even though there was this huge challenge, still knowing that your family was there.
Huge support.
Yeah.
Huge, 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 huge.
That's
My
cool.
dad is like this insane rock because it's that whole like intense connection of like, you belong here. He genuinely thinks I'm like Meryl Streep or something. I think it's more so he thinks I have this like light that like needs to be shared or something.
I mean, you do.
Yeah. But I think,
I love that he tells you that, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's like
your dad's
it's
so
like
great.
a Walk of Fame like light. like, you know, like he doesn't say those words, but that's the intensity. like
he's a fan.
He's like, you're gonna make it. He's like, you belong there. Oh. But I will say, one of my first paid gigs in California.
Yeah.
My very first one. It was the coolest.
Yeah.
It was $200.
Nice.
Cash. That's super important.
It's very important.
And it was that I got to act out scenes from a book in a book fair.
Oh,
and
fun.
I would do it like live. So people would be like walking by and I would like act out scenes. And I don't remember the book, but I was like,
did you have a fun costume?
No, it wasn't like a Renaissance fair. It was just like Barnes and Noble book fair. Like,
how would they know what you were acting?
They wouldn't. I don't know. It didn't really align with the no one else was doing these scenes except like me and like my mom. Not my mom. Oh. The lady playing my mom.
Got it.
It's a very weird tangent I just went on.
But you got $200 cash.
That was dope.
And you're like, I can do this.
Every time I booked a little gig, like I remember I worked like 12 jobs always. And I remember I worked at the Olive Garden for one of my jobs in Seattle.
Yeah.
And I was like, bye, guys. I'm going to go be famous in LA. And they were like, do you want to transfer to
Olive Garden in California?
Or maybe this was my Orange County job. I can't remember one of my restaurants. And I was like, no. I'm an actor. I'm going to be an actor. And they were like, yeah, you need a job. And I was like, no.
You don't understand.
No. I'm an actor. And I was like, nope, I'm going to make it. And then I just like got all these weird little mini jobs. And then like eventually you need like actual jobs. Yeah.
That's so funny.
But it's so funny. I did like every single scrappity little thing.
Oh, sure. And I think that's, Kelsey and I talked a little bit about this. Kelsey, in her episode, we talk about her time in LA.
That was awesome.
But she's on the other side of the camera, right?
Yeah.
So she's doing production. But one of the things, kind of going back to like the story of us, so like we knew each other in Seattle. You go to California to chase your dreams. I go to Florida, do my thing. Kelsey comes with me. We talk about that in Kelsey's episode. You should go listen to it, episode 2. And then Kelsey's like, I'm going to LA. So she goes to LA. She lives in this apartment with 6 other people. And she's like, this is not ideal. And I see on Facebook that you're looking for a roomie. And I was like, hey,
yes,
you guys, no obligations. If it, if you don't like each other, it doesn't fit, whatever. I don't care. But like, you are 2 people that I love and you're both looking for a roommate. So like, just get coffee.
Yes.
And it worked out. And you guys moved in together.
It was awesome. That was such a fun time. I had friends that lived above us. So we had like great referrals. And so we like slid right into like a North Hollywood apartment. And it was like us living out Friends. Like
Aww.
It was a sitcom. And Kelsey was such a fun roommate. And we'd always have like tea and just like we are now. And like little parties, and she would help me act out my acting scenes.
I love that.
And that's really how it is. Like what Kelsey described as like all the people coming up in production, doing the production jobs, and the actors, like everyone is hustling, and it's such a season. Like it is fun, but it's a freaking commitment. And it does make it easier when you're like in it with those that are in it.
Right. Because you guys can like pump each other up and like encourage each other in a way that understandably other friends from back home or maybe family, like they're just not going to get it the way that
they're not going to get it. They might not like even support it because it's just like, why are you doing that type of job for $15 an hour until like I'm just thinking of like PA work, right?
Yeah.
Until 2 a.m. in the morning every night, and like writer's assistants even. So but if you see the vision, you're kind of like nah. But I have like so many different outlooks now that are really different. But it is Like, I see Los Angeles like crack cocaine, like Hollywood, because
Such a specific vision.
I mean, I've never done drugs, so I don't really know. But from what I've seen on TV, it just, I mean, it feels, it's like a high, right? It's like the highs are so high and like insane.
Yeah.
And the lows can be so low. But when you step out of it, it really is, as annoying as this is to probably people who are like currently in it listening to this podcast right now, it really is those moments when you're like, all right, guys, everyone throw in $5. We're making turkey chili tonight. You know, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's the hustle, and it is fun. That kind of like gritty, scrappy life can be really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think especially as a young person, too.
Yeah, as a young person.
You have the energy as a young person.
I was like,
right?
now?
Yeah.
Do you like how now, like, I'm 80 years old?
Yeah. Right now,
Yes.
you are sitting in my living room here in Columbus, Ohio, and you live here.
Yes.
So yet again, full circle,
Ooh.
we live in the same city.
Ooh.
Would we have even dreamed?
Wait, for a second, I was like, that's 3 cities.
Oh, no. It's only 2.
Yeah.
Kelsey, my other half, lived with you in
Yeah,
the other city.
I was like, we just keep.
But I did visit you guys.
Yeah.
I visited you guys in LA.
Yeah,
but
for
yeah,
sure.
we're from Seattle to Ohio. We're here. But you grew up here. You grew up in Ohio.
I grew up in Cleveland, yeah.
Hey guys, did you know that the Lives I've Lived podcast is a one-woman operation? Outside my full-time job, I produce, record, edit, create, and manage content for the show. It is a lot of fun, but it also takes a lot of time. So, if you have been enjoying the podcast and are looking for a way to support it, look no further. You can keep my creativity flowing in caffeine with one easy click. Down in the show notes, click support the show. This takes you to a page where you can easily gift me a latte. Above all else, it means so much knowing that you are all listening to this passion project. So thank you. I can't wait to keep sharing even more content. I hope you stay tuned as we continue building a community and sharing stories from the lives we've lived. So let's talk about, we've alluded a lot to it, but let's get into the meat a little bit about your Hollywood life.
Okay.
You lived a legit Hollywood, California life. No, you were in North Hollywood. Well, I don't know. Does that, like, you have credits to your name. I have watched things that you've been in. I've watched cartoons that you've played in. I've seen your beautiful face on my TV screen, and which has been so fun.
Yeah.
By the way, and you've done the thing.
Yeah.
Like, what was that experience like for you?
I mean, like, so fun, all the things. Where do I start, Megan?
Well, let's just, because this is a fun podcast and people like to hear the tea and feel like they're like a part of, So let's name drop a little bit. Only,
Okay.
within reason, of course, but let's name drop some shows that you've been in.
Okay.
And maybe some like really special moments that you just like
moments
that you'll like cherish of like people
Perfect.
that you got to work with.
Okay, let's name drop them all, folks.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're dropping
All
the
right.
names.
Well, I'll just like start with whatever's coming to mind.
Yeah.
Very first credit, I'll say like real network TV credit. I'm sure there's like a bunch before that are like freaking book fairs.
Book fair actor.
But network TV credit was Scandal. And
I forgot that you did Scandal.
That was like my first credit, and it was Olivia Pope Wannabe #2. And it was so cool. You got your own trailer. You had to go to fitting. They had all these outfits for me.
Wait, even as like an unnamed character, you had your own trailer?
I had a name. It was Olivia Pope Wannabe #2.
Okay.
It was a real credit.
So sorry.
Yeah, it was a co-star.
Okay.
And I had one line, and then the line got cut. but it was so like professional. Like obviously, I'm talking about like a TV
Scandal
set,
is like a big deal. They did a really good job, you guys.
Guys, I think they did like. I think Scandal crushed it. No, it was so cool. I like remember taking, because you couldn't take photos or anything, but I did. I didn't post them or anything,
Sure,
but I was like,
for your
I have
memories.
to remember this
Yeah, for
forever.
your memories.
And they took me to set, and then I had to like look at her, and then
I had to look at her.
and then you had to like look at Olivia Pope, and then I can't remember, but I think what ended up happening is they gave the line to me and my Olivia Pope wannabe number one friend. And then they just didn't have either of us say it, or like they cut it out of the
like when they're
end
editing
product.
at the end,
they cut it out of the editing, so it looks like we're extras, but you could see us look over enough where people were like, "Oh my God, were you in Scandal?" And I blew that up. Like I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in Scandal," because I thought like I'm gonna get my one line, like I'm gonna look like a real person. But then when you don't have a line, you look like an extra. So I'm like, darn it. But I'm not kidding you. Until maybe a week ago, still getting checks from Scandal. From 2015. They're like
gift.
They're like
sure, small.
Probably since now.
Yeah.
But
that's so funny.
But yeah,
but what kind of a fun reminder to like randomly get like 50 cents in the mail, but you're like, oh, awesome. Scandal.
I definitely have had the coolest experiences. Like I had an audition for Broad City. I had never actually seen the show, and that was a tape audition to New York City. I was watching my mom at the time. It was raining that day. I went to a taping. They had like taping locations where you could just like pay a little taping studio, like $15. I remember racing there because I didn't want to.
So they like recorded your audition for you?
And then they like edit it and then they send it to my agent.
Oh, nice.
And so I race over there and I couldn't really think about how well I did. My hair is kind of wet and I just remember kind of being funny in my audition, but I only did like one take and then I didn't really think about it, which is the best, right? Like when you are just not overthinking, which is very hard to do as an actor. And then I raced back home to my mom and we're like playing Boggle or something. And then my manager's like, "You booked Broad City." And I was like, "What?" Like my hair was wet, And I was on set with Alana and Abby for 3 days.
Fun.
It was 2 episodes. And the craziest part was at the time, I was a series regular for an animated show with Seth Green. And somehow, not related, Seth Green is in this same episode of Broad City.
It's so funny.
In the same scene, and we are talking to each other.
That's crazy.
And I look at the call sheet, and it says Seth Green on my call sheet, and I literally was so scared because Seth Green's my director, and Seth Green's like the coolest person ever, like absolutely coolest.
That's fine.
But I was nervous. Like, I'm like, oh my God, is he going to be cool to me at Broad City? Like, is he like cool in every setting? Because you just don't know.
Oh, yeah.
And then
and with your animated series that you're doing with him, were you like, did you see him face to face, or was that more of like so it wasn't like a
It wasn't
virtual
Zoom or
situation.
anything.
So you guys were like in the studio together, but he was directing.
We were in the
what you're doing.
studio.
Got it.
He was directing me, and we get to set, and Seth Green comes up to me and he goes, "Ashley, what?" And like we're both like, "What?" And like he was so cool.
I love that.
And he's like, "Oh my God, guys, me and Ashley," because it was
friends.
just so crazy.
Yeah.
And Alana's like, "Ashley, your audition was so funny. You're hilarious." And I was like, this is literally my dream come true.
Yeah.
Because by then, no. I did know the Broad City. I knew of Broad City because Broad City is what inspired us to make our web series. My writing partner and I, we had heard of Broad City at UCB. I was going to UCB taking comedy classes. So it was just the craziest thing. I was inspired because I heard the director of Broad City speak at a UCB class. I'm like, this is insane. Like all my dreams are coming true. This is absolutely insane.
Everything's like colliding together.
Absolutely. Everything
and
is
you're
colliding.
like, my bestie Seth Green over here and my inspiration girls from Broad City and here I am living the dream.
To book the Seth Green series. It was called Camp WWE. I played the young John Cena and The Rock, which if you listen to my voice now, you're like, what the heck?
I know, it's crazy.
Let that be a lesson to all actors out there. If you get an audition sometimes, it's just like, well, try.
Yeah.
Because you never know. And let me tell you right now is I went in for Stephanie McMahon. And on the spot, they asked me
Wow, I didn't know
to
that.
do John Cena, who I didn't even know who that was.
Yeah.
They said a young American 8-year-old. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. How you doing? You know, like I just started talking like an 8-year-old boy. And then, yeah, it was crazy. And then the
so
Rock
funny.
audition, they just kept adding things on to see if I could like do it too. Everything was just like thrown at me. And I just went with it with my improv. And they just like loved it and they kept laughing. And then they made a joke. They were like, send everyone home. And I go, but really? Like, let's do it. I do want to say this because it's one of those of like, it is actually about the journey. My friend Jessica and I was like, I got to deliver a gift. Like, because I had callbacks. I was like, we got to deliver a gift. I ordered this thing that's called the Pet Rock. It's like a box that's called the Pet Rock. Seth Green's Stupid Buddy Studios is like accessible to the public, like in Burbank. So we get this box, we fill it with candy and the Pet Rock, and me and Jessica drive up to the studio. We drop off the Pet Rock, or I have her like deliver it to make it look cooler. Like, I'm not going to deliver it. My assistant's going to go deliver it. And it's like a little kid delivering a Pet Rock. Like, who is that? And we go back to her house. She's a makeup artist. I have her do my makeup. We're like drinking wine. And we were like, whether I book it or not, that day was the most fun day ever, like delivering the Pet Rock.
Yeah.
And it's just like a reminder of you just have to be like so grateful for the auditions, for the Jessicas, for the Pet Rocks.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's, I have a Minnie Mouse in my home, a little like stuffed animal. And why I have that is because I was in Ohio visiting my dad, get an audition. There's only a select amount of us that get an audition to be the next Minnie Mouse. And by then I've booked another Netflix show and now I'm on a bunch of shows. And we get a letter from Disney. And it's like the woman who had played Minnie Mouse had passed away. And she had done Minnie Mouse and Martin from Simpsons. And it was like, please understand the legacy that you're going to be taking on because you're going to be Minnie Mouse now for every show. And, you know, and so I started, now if I practice it now, it'll sound like Mickey, but I started like doing the voice, you know, and I started practicing. And then and mind you, I sound like Mickey now because I like haven't listened to the cartoons in a bit.
Yeah.
But I just started like doing it all day long. And I'm in Ohio, like with my dad, and my dad has a fabulous setup at his home. And he's like, we gotta embrace this. Like, let's go to the Disney store. We need to get you a Minnie Mouse. And
you need to become her.
Yeah, he's like, you're gonna take on because he's
your number one fan, rightfully so.
This podcast is gonna make him sound like a psychopath, but no, it's just like so beautiful because he really has been number one. He's like, this makes sense. You will be Minnie Mouse. Like, he's always like, oh, that's the thing. Yeah. So we get a little Minnie Mouse, and I'm, like, doing it over and over and over again. I remember my brother being like, whoever books this, they've been practicing Minnie for years. Like, he's kind of like, why haven't you been practicing this for years? And I'm like, Brandon, I didn't know. I didn't know she was going to pass away, you know? Like, there's my family so intense. But anyway, I don't get it. This very famous other actress does get it. Why I say that is like the experience of me and my dad like trying to attempt Minnie Mouse and like doing monologues, and I was like, you got this, Ashley, like you can do it, you know? And like me and my dad and Minnie like for hours, like for a whole day, like it's just so fun. And that's why when you hear actors, like they're not joking when they say it was such a privilege to even be in the room with these people, or it was such a privilege to even be nominated or to even be, you know, like to even have the opportunity to touch the script. Like, one of my favorite experiences was auditioning for Mrs. Maisel, like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
That's so cool.
I had just come off Broad City, so they were like, Jewish girl. And I was like, this is it. Like,
You're like,
always
"That's
like,
me."
yeah, you're always like, this is the thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And,
Yeah.
you know, and, you know, I still like have like that monologue somewhat in my head. But you also see, well, one, they had Rachel Brosnahan in mind for that before they even like opened the audition up. So that also, but you also see like some things are meant for certain people. Like,
Yeah.
and I am firmly of the belief now, what is for you is for you, and what is not for you is not for you.
Yeah.
And I don't believe acting is not like, I definitely believe it's like in me and will always be in me. And like, I 100% like know like certain things are like going to be coming back in.
Yeah.
Like
Well, it's such a part of you. Like,
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. But what's funny is like not having that like needing energy, I feel so like wonderful and awesome about it. Like I'm definitely like, yeah, I will do some Christmas movies. Like I just like know
You'd be great.
that, oh yeah, like I just know. I'm like, I visited my friend, my best friend on set in Montreal earlier this year.
Yeah.
That was so fun. It was so fun, like supporting, you know, friends who like you and Kelsey, who've been in the industry forever. And she's executive producing her first movie.
Oh, so cool.
Which is so fun. I said, like, your first movie, you know, I will be there.
I love
that
that.
was insane because my flight, like, they almost wouldn't let me on the plane. It was,
Oh my gosh.
I was crying at the airport. I was like, you need to let me on the plane.
I need to go to a movie set.
Yeah, I literally was like, I have a movie. It was insane. But it was ironically the crews that do Hallmark. I was like, this is all meant to be. I was like, I was supposed to meet these crews who do Hallmark. I just know everything's meant to be. We'll end up all working together in the future. Like you just, when you know, and when you have something in you, it doesn't go away. And it's important to like embrace that. But I also think it's important to know like the season in which it's like time to embrace it, and maybe like if it doesn't feel like it's time to do that, like you don't have to.
Like not forcing it.
Yeah, like I just don't think it's the time right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long were you in LA?
From when I was 20 to when I was 30. So
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long, I mean.
Yeah, and I was also like in college during that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a super long
But
time.
acting in LA
Yeah.
to it, you know, pursuing
and as
it.
a full-time actor.
Yeah.
And I'm really so proud to say that I became a full-time actor and I left as a full-time actor.
Yeah.
Which was so, and I love like saying that because I'm like, I went on a high versus like on
Yes.
a low, you know?
And Kelsey and I, you know, talked
Yeah.
about that too, because
Oh,
similarly
yeah.
to Kelsey,
Yes.
and you know, we'll get to the point where we talk a little bit about how COVID obviously was a big disruption, but you had great experiences in Hollywood, and there's 100. I mean, we could talk for hours. Like you have the best stories, but. I mean, let's be real. You talked about this a little bit earlier, pulling back the curtain. Like, Hollywood looks fancy and fun, but it's really hard. It's a hustle culture. It's hard to make genuine friendships because it's like, am I a connection for you, or do you actually want to know who I am as a person?
Yeah.
Or do you think that I'm like your ticket to the next thing?
Yeah.
There's a lot of challenges when
Yeah.
it comes to living in LA.
Yeah.
What was that like, just kind of like experiencing that and like sorting through that?
So I'll say that I think in terms of friendship wise, what really helped me was like being plugged in to what started at school, being like from a Christian college, having something that was grounded not in Hollywood but in faith. Although it's easy to say that, and even within those circles, everyone is still, you know, somewhat in Hollywood. So you have to
Yeah.
watch it. Like, I just want to say that because, so even if you're in the church or in a
Yeah.
temple or, you know, wherever,
Right. They're
you
still
know,
like,
you
oh,
still, yeah.
I want to go talk to that person
Yeah, just
because I
'cause-
know they're on that gig
Yeah,
that I
just-
really want to get on.
Just because you're, you know.
People are people,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
100%. But I think being grounded in something like bigger than Hollywood definitely helps because that like I had a group that was like super supportive, that really helped. And also, like I said, having my family there very, very much helped. There was a host that I, was acquaintance with because I did red carpet like hosting as well, where I'd interview different like celebrities and stuff. And she recently did a reel that I saw, and she recently kind of pulled the curtain just a little bit of like, it's been 10 years and I live in an apartment that, my washer doesn't work, my dryer doesn't, things are breaking, but I pour everything. And I like felt her pain because I like remember that feeling of giving just literally everything. It's like being in a bad boyfriend relationship and like not necessary. It's like you see the reward. It's again that like crack cocaine, or is this how? I don't even know how do they do crack cocaine? Is that no?
I don't think so, but I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway,
guys,
moving on.
Yeah, it's super up and down.
Where like the highs are high and the lows are low.
Yeah, there are no financial like guarantees, and I think the promise is so big. Like people will promise you the world, and I think that's what like keeps everyone clinging on.
Well, and you've experienced that too.
Yeah, so many promises. What helped me in the in between was building those other like business skills of like learning how the business worked, of coaching and things like that, of learning social media. One of my best friends, I was just on the phone with her walking in here. We built a company, which was fabulous. It was the year my mom passed away. My dad moved out of California. I had to find a roommate within 30 days. You brought me Kelsey. I started a business. Patty and I got probably like 15 clients, made it our full-time job, and then I was offered a role to be a producer, the social producer on the show Dirty John, and I didn't need that job. I turned it down, but they kept coming after me, so then I finally took it, and it ended up being an awesome job.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, F it, like clients are on the weekend, I'm taking this job. So then I was doing 2 jobs. And then I booked like a McDonald's commercial that year. So I was like, yeah, buddy, but that's what I'm talking about of like having really, really great years. And then the next year was COVID. So it's like really high highs, really low lows. I'm saying that because I don't know how just being an actor, you hear a lot of even huge actors saying this, like you can't just have the skills to be an actor anymore in Hollywood. You have to like learn social media, learn marketing, learn producing. Like if you don't learn those skills, I don't know how you survive. Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality, isn't it? And I think that's true in my industry too. Like, I feel like our school was pretty good at saying like, you have these big dreams, you want to go out on tour and be the front of house guy for whoever, and that's very possible. That is an attainable goal.
Yes.
But also know that it's probably not going to land on your lap, and so it will serve you well to be skilled in multiple areas and not only one, because you're going to need to do a bit more to get to that like preferred goal. It's 2020.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
I thought you were going to say 2024, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm taking us back in time.
Brain is going back in time.
Back in time. So I'm taking you back. It's 2020. The pandemic happens.
Okay.
And the industry shuts down for both of us. For honestly, the majority of people, let's be honest. But specifically hospitality and entertainment are donezo for the time. That was really scary.
Yeah.
And hard. I could go on about my personal experience. Maybe someday I'll talk about that. But that was a big disruption. And for you personally, it took you on the path of coming back to Ohio.
Yes. Oh, you're good at that. Like just open-ended. Like, okay, now spill your guts out.
So, I mean, how was that what was it like to make that decision of like, okay, this thing is happening. I have poured my heart and soul into the last 10 years of Hollywood. I have credits. I have dreams. I have promises that may or may not ever happen. I have encouragements. I have ups and downs.
Oh, yes.
But now the pandemic is here. No one's making money in my industry. So what do I do? Like,
Yeah. Well, what was interesting was I was making money at that time.
Well, lucky you. No,
But no, I was really rich. No. I say it was in an interesting situation because I was a partner at an acting studio. We had a space. It was started taking off. I thought we should go to Zoom in Los Angeles. March 16th is like the day we went into lockdown.
Yeah.
And so I think it was like we went on hold for 2 weeks and then I was like, let's pivot to Zoom. Let's just see if it works.
And what's this? This business was coaching?
Yes, it was voice acting school.
Voice acting. Oh, okay.
And it just kind of took off because now we could go international. Yeah, it definitely like gave all of us like a focus, a community, and a lot of people started building communities during this time. Like, they would like do like virtual lunches or like virtual whatevers, and we had like a Friday like little lunch series where I'd interview like a different guest every Friday. So we'd like bring in a bunch of voice people. So people all throughout the world would tune in and they'd hop on Zoom and they would get to listen to like Candy Milo or Tara Strong, and like I'm talking huge top 1% voice actors. My friend Eric Bauza, who does Bugs Bunny.
That's so crazy.
At the time, I was up for Lola Bunny. Fun fact.
Oh my goodness.
So it started taking off. I went through a nice little COVID breakup.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was really hard.
Yeah.
But also was month to month on apartments, and it was just like, was far away from my other friends in Los Angeles at that time, lived in Hermosa Beach, and I was like, well, now I'm just far from everyone, don't have a boyfriend. This sucks.
Yeah.
Like doing Zooms, crying my eyes out, eating mac and cheese, like the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And then I was on the phone with my other best friend, Lauren, in Ohio, and we were kind of just like shooting the shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, wouldn't it be fun to like just come live with you? And she's like, yeah. And then we were like, wait, it's COVID. Like no one has a job. And so I was like, I literally have nothing in Los Angeles. And I truly do think like sometimes these things, it's like it was leading there anyway,
So even though you were from a business perspective, you said you left Hollywood on a high, like you were in a good spot, but like how was your soul during that time?
Yeah, I say on a high as in, I should kind of, put that into perspective. I was on a high as in I was a working actor at that time, but a working actor doesn't mean you're like super rich.
Yeah.
A working actor means you're paying your bills off acting, but it means you need to continue to book acting work.
Sure.
So I didn't know how well our voiceover business would do. It's, unreliable. You're in a pandemic.
Sure.
I didn't want to stay in Los Angeles, and I definitely did not want to sign another lease during a pandemic. So, my soul was, it honestly was so distraught because I just wanted to get back to like playing with my friends on set every day and creating. Some of the best moments of like my life creating were like making our web series, We're Not Friends, and like making stuff with my friends. That's why I'm obsessed with like content creation now. I absolutely love filming with my fiance. Like I'm obsessed with it. I love collaborating. I'm just a very collaborative person in the business. You're collaborative when you're on set. You're not collaborative when you're not on set. The 90% of your time you're not on set. Unless you're like Mindy Kaling, like unless you're in control or booking the thing or like, So that's where your soul's like being destroyed, because if you're not on set and you're not in control, then you're like, or at least for me, I should say, I don't want to like speak to everyone. I just don't do well, like not moving forward.
Sure.
That's why I really do want to speak like empowerment to the creators out there that are moving the needle forward in their own way. Because I'm like, bros, girls, like you are doing it. Like this is the
like
dream.
They have control of what they're putting out there. Where like as an actor, you're doing the work, but the next gig is in someone else's hand to choose you for the part.
I was thinking about this because I think a lot of young people now, they, like a lot of the content creators, like TikTokers or whatever, they're like, cool. I'm like TikTok famous, but I want to be real famous, which is like Hollywood famous. But I wish someone would like pull the curtain and be like, no, dude.
Yeah.
Like what you have now, that is it.
Yeah.
Like all the people I look up to, like the Duplass brothers and Mindy Kaling and like all of the showrunners and Issa Rae, like all of the people who have starred and write and created their own shows and everything, they kind of share this. They're like, that is the thing. The thing is to create and like have control and produce the thing and like why do you think
be a decision maker?
Yes. Yeah. What do you think all of the actors are doing now? Like why do you think Reese Witherspoon started her own company? Why do you think every actor has their own production company? Because they couldn't get the roles that they wanted. So they had to literally start their own production company, find their own IP, finance it and do the thing. They're making TikToks. And so stop trying to like get the pilot and just keep doing what's work,
Yeah.
Or just do it in a different way. Like if you want the TV show, make the TV show. Like if you like, what is it that you're chasing? Yeah. Is it the Walk of Fame? Like, are you just chasing more fame? So that's what I've been thinking about because I think a lot of like content creators,
are they loving the creation of the content or are they loving the attention and feedback?
Yeah. But they think like, okay, I'm only content creation famous. I want to be real famous. Yeah. But I think people are starting to see.
Well, I mean, and it's attractive. Like, like this idea of Hollywood, it's built up this legacy for a reason, and I think it's slowly starting to change. And maybe you're right. Social media is probably a big part of that. But like, I mean, Hollywood is always about like these glorious icons and they were our escape, right? Movies were our escape from reality. And, I've never really thought about it, but it is interesting now that there's a time where like it's more accessible. Like, you know, back when movies were first out, let's say, there's there's barely any technology out there.
Yes.
There's not even like microwaves are created yet, but there's these films you can go to. And it's just this iconic like dream world. And that has been Hollywood for so long. And I think it's really only now that it's like, you can have a dream too. Like you can live, kind of that mindset of like living in wonder or whimsy or like, living the art of noticing. As long as you're intentional, right? Yes. But we don't have to only go to Hollywood to be like, I don't know if this is making sense, but
100%. Yeah, I totally agree with you. There's so much magic in the movie industry, and there always will be. Yeah. But you can create magic in your own hometown. And there is so much talent. Like if you do want to create movies, for instance, there is so much talent in like small towns, big towns. Columbus, for instance. I just went to go see Legally Blonde the musical. Freaking Broadway stars. I was floored.
That's awesome.
I literally felt like I was in New York City. I'm like, these people should be in New York City. Like, they were so good. Better than any, like, Broadway tour I've seen. Wow. I'm not even kidding you. I was beyond impressed. Aww. It's like, should I try out? I was like, but I can't sing. My parents told me at a young age.
But your dad would say yes.
No. I was going to say that's why I know I can't sing because my dad says you can, like, talk, sing, but not...
Oh. Sing.
Yeah, but not like real sing.
That's so funny.
But yeah.
So you're in Ohio with your bestie. You're like, I'm not doing anything in LA right now, so definitely moving in with my best friend.
Yeah.
And you came to Toledo?
So I was in Cleveland teaching voiceover at night and then auditioning, and no one even knew I was in Ohio, which was awesome. And then I just started booking. So then I had to keep flying back to Los Angeles. So I flew back to Los Angeles a few times, and then I booked Good Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so fun. That was my first guest star, which just shows I'm, like, all about, like, peace now. And I wrote you a note beforehand of, like, I'm just so about, like, just protecting your peace.
Yeah.
Because I think when you're, like, in a state of, like, your cortisol levels and, like, just everything about your nervous system, and like you can sleep well and like eat well and like walk and like you're like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you are not in a state of anxiety, which I literally didn't know you could be at this state. I did not know for 10 years you could be at this state.
So for 10 years in LA, you were like
constant
on edge.
State of anxiety. On edge every single day.
Your nervous system is probably in like a fight or flight mode.
Every single day.
Like heightened.
Yes.
And you didn't know that wasn't a normal thing.
No, I thought it was normal.
and then you...
Yes. Absolutely. 100%.
You but coming to Ohio, like, well, how did you learn that difference? Like, how, before we talk about, you know, good girls, how did you learn?
So here's what happened.
Yeah.
This sounds terrible. I'm going to put this in the context that I'm very aware of someone who works in news and I'm a human being, that the pandemic is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Destroyed
no one is
families.
happy about the pandemic.
Yes.
But there are some things we learned, right?
I thrived because, and I think a lot of people will not admit this, but slowing down, like, and not having FOMO, and like, this is when I knew I needed to get out of LA, because I remember when we kept being told like it was gonna end, like we were gonna go back to the office, I kept crying, and my boyfriend at the time was like, "This is not right. Like you shouldn't want to live in a pandemic." And I was like, I don't want to come back, because I loved like being home. I felt so calm, like going on
because
runs.
there wasn't the pressure.
No,
you
no
had
pressure.
Control of your time.
Yes.
You were able, like you said, to do some runs and learn how to live a more restful existence.
Yes, take care of your body.
Yeah.
And then I started getting on a track of like, I don't need Hollywood anymore. I don't. And I don't, and your worth, your life is not tied to a job. And your dream can change.
Yeah.
Like you can live in a season.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't matter what other people view it as. Yeah. Also, people probably don't care. Yeah. They probably aren't like giving it as much thought as you think they are. Tying this full circle to your lives lived, you asked the question in your podcast, how many lives have you lived? And I, you know, cheekily answered 1 because I feel like it is 1. Take someone like my fiance. He met me in January of 2021. He didn't see my 10 years in Hollywood. He's heard about it. Guess what he did see, though? My first live shot at 4:30 a.m. He recorded it. Aww. I was in the snow. Hi, everyone. It's a snowball fight over here in Toledo. It's cold. And the snow is hitting me. So, but I genuinely think that he has been able to like soak up this whole world, that he would say she has lived one crazy like life with so many different twists and turns and has taken really big swings that has led her to different states. Now I'm like, I'm going to go ask him when he gets home. He's going to be like, you lived 4 lives, because he's so logical. So why I say that is because I'm like, well, I wonder if someone entered my life now, if they would think I had 4 lives. Someone at work was like, you're so funny. You should be an actor.
You're like, yeah.
And I thought they were joking because I thought they like read my bio. I was like, yeah.
Not everyone knows who you are, Ashley.
Would you like see me on Netflix or something? I like said something.
Oh, you like said something to her?
I said something. I was like, yeah, okay. And then they didn't. And so it was just so awkward.
Really embarrassing.
Yeah, it was just hilarious.
That's funny.
But and then it made me see like, oh, wow, you don't know about my other life.
Yeah.
So then I was like, wow, we have more lives. But I really, once I saw, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I can open up another chapter.
Yeah.
You're not tied to a job. You can do whatever you want. It's so freeing. But you don't feel that way as an actor because you feel like you have branded yourself. You feel like once you've labeled yourself like that, you have to be, quote unquote, this vision of success that you feel like the world views you as. It does feel like I had an Ohio life, and then maybe I had an actor life, and then I had a news reporter life, because my news reporter life people don't necessarily know that I was an actor, and my actor people don't necessarily know I was a news reporter. Corporate people don't necessarily know I make content, but people, at the end of the day, everything I just said nothing about my personality or my soul and was just jobs.
Yeah.
It did tell you about experiences and places.
But it's always been you. You're living out these experiences.
That's why, like, full circle, like, I'm having an epiphany right now. That's why it's kind of like, if God put it in you and you follow it, like, whatever it is, I just think it's inevitable. But it doesn't mean it's going to happen the way you think it's going to happen. It means if God gave you a gift for something, I really do think it's because he's going to use it. If you listen and like follow his calling for it, but it doesn't mean it's in this like insane way. And it doesn't mean it's in a small way either.
Yeah.
It means it's in his very specific way. But it also could mean it's like absolutely insane. Like now I'm like, whoa. Like now I'm like, I'm for sure going to be in a Christmas movie. No.
I mean,
as I'm like, it's not going to be the way you say it is.
do you feel like because you put so much of yourself into that decade of being an actor and that being your main job, that when you were in Ohio during the pandemic, did you feel like because you'd been an actor for so long that like you weren't allowed to be anything else? Was there like a process of like giving yourself permission to be like, I can change, like, because you're saying now confidently, you can change your mind.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, you don't really often feel like you can. Like, what was that like for you?
So I will say I used the pandemic as my crutch, and then I hardcore pivoted to another form of television, which probably helped.
Yeah.
And so my form of television was also on camera.
Right.
So
which was a news reporter.
Yes. So then I became a news reporter. I knew doing that I'd have to start in a smaller market. Went to Toledo for a year. Long story short, I knew I'd only be there for a year. And then I went to Columbus, which is where I wanted.
Yeah.
And then I was there for 2 years. Didn't want to get shot and killed anymore.
Oh my gosh. You guys, the stories that Ashley would tell me about, like, number one, something I didn't realize is that you're a one-woman show. Like, if you're out there in the field reporting, other than maybe having a camera person, depending on the situation, you are doing everything else yourself, which was, like, eye-opening for me.
Yes.
But also, you just had to, like, knock on doors and be in scary situations, and they're like, yeah, can you go, like, talk about this thing? Like, that's crazy. You have some crazy stories there, but...
Yeah, craziest. That's for maybe episode
another,
2.
yeah. I think you're doing another time.
But maybe I think the transition from out of television was seemingly harder because it'll be like, oh, like I used to like be on TV or whatever, and now I like am not. And like no one knows that I was on TV. Like, do they not know that I was on TV? Like, I was important. I was on that television.
Right. Well, what's that like? Kind of that ego check, right?
Here's the thing. We're getting
Ashley's sitting up. She's ready to.
I forget that they can't see us. We're getting real, folks.
Yeah.
I always say that it all comes down to reality over perception. Do you care about the reality or do you care about the perception?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, because I actually don't care about the perception. I just want to live a good life. The reality of being a TV news reporter for me was like super, super anxiety ridden, soul sucking. Became one of my most unhealthiest states. I will say, like, treatment wise, like I'll never speak poorly about like the Columbus station. Like, I'm still very good friends with like everyone there and like love all of them. But just the industry itself is super volatile.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you don't see anyone that started with me in the industry. Like, no one that started with me is still at, those stations.
Really?
I mean, my whole team had quit before I even, ended my 2 years. So that's really interesting. Because it's just like a churn and burn.
Sure. And it goes back to that reality versus perception.
Do you care about your perception? Do you care that you're on TV? Do you care, what I care about is about my soul, is about my health. That's the only thing you have. Is about my time well spent, is about genuinely feeling like I'm serving the world and like being a productive member of society, like contributing to society. Mind you, there's a lot that you do feel like that in news, because one of my like superpowers, which is one of yours, Megan, is being able to like make people feel seen and heard, which is what most people want. So I do feel like the actual position does do a service. A lot of times I just feel like it's like not. It's just like, was Sean killed? And putting yourself in danger.
You were at a fork in the road and had to be honest with yourself and trust the decision that you're going to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
You chose to leave your TV station job and you work in corporate now.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm sorry, that's a different life than Hollywood. Those are different lives, right?
Yes. But it's like, I love working with teams. So I love my little team. It's like 6 of us. And I still get to do like interviews and I produce events. And so I do communications. And my organization is in 3 different countries. So it's in India, the Philippines, and the United States. So I am obsessed. Everyone knows I love traveling. Obviously, I make travel content. I don't talk about making content at work. But I love talking to our colleagues in Manila and India, because I'm always like, guys, I'll see you soon. Like, I'm trying to get them to take me there. They will not. I'm not that high up.
That'd be amazing.
But that would be so cool. I definitely do want to go to the Philippines just on my own, because it just seems so awesome. And I do have like Filipino friends now. But yeah, it is different in the sense of like definitely more like at your desk. Yeah, I just think like as much as I can like collaborate with my teammates, that's always going to be my number one. And as much as I can continue to push myself. I will say, ironically, there are a number of news reporters who have come to this company. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, that's how I got there. I was like referred there. So like one of the teams knew about my acting background, so they asked me to be in a bunch of videos. So I had to act like for a half a day, and they were like, oh my god, she's so good at acting. I'm like, I was a professional actor in Los Angeles. They're always like, you have an IMDb page. Like, everyone outside of Hollywood is so into IMDb pages,
because that's where we find out about celebrities. But like, it feels so like official. And I keep referring back to old episodes, but the episode before yours is with my friend Halen, and he has an IMDb. And I was like, I saw this stuff. You have an IMDb. And he was like, yeah, it's like not really a thing. And I was like, but like it's so official feeling. And so for everyone who's like not in Hollywood, like it means you're officially someone.
What's funny, I'm going to pull the curtain, is that you could make a short film, submit it to IMDb, and then it'll be on IMDb. So
I could be on IMDb.
I'm going to put you on.
Yeah. But, I mean, to be fair, you do have real, actual network credits.
Yeah, like
you actually were a legit actor.
You can look me up on Netflix if you want. You can watch Latte and the Magic Waterstone.
Yeah.
I'm Latte, Princess Latte. It's a hedgehog.
I love that.
That's one of my favorites.
Really?
Yeah, that's a Netflix movie. I play Latte the hedgehog, and she's so cute. And she is just like brave and is trying to get water for everyone in the land who's in a drought. And I like wasn't supposed to book the role. It was like for a bigger celebrity. And so I booked the role to do like the initial voice, to be replaced later by the celebrity. And then they loved it so much that they wanted to just go with me.
Wow.
So it was really cool.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Do you want to give us a little hedgehog.
I'm Princess Latte, and I'm not afraid of anyone.
Oh.
But also, what's really cool about that is I didn't know, no one knew it was going to be on Netflix. You just do these things, and then all of a sudden there's a press release that's like, oh, yeah, Netflix was coming. That was during COVID, too.
Wow.
Boom.
So corporate life, I mean, we've talked a lot throughout this episode on worth, purpose, value, work-life balance. Do you feel like now you're in a season where you're more balanced?
Yes. Talk about feeling valued. That is like one of the biggest things. We just had Employee Appreciation Week at our work, and if you were to have said that was a thing in news or like Hollywood or anything, I would have been like, what the heck? But I had to be in charge of that for like 700 employees. Now, mind you, we had representatives and teams at each of the sites, but we had to like lead that as an organization, and I had to like, manage it. It was so cool to work at a company that you're like, no, they actually do believe in that.
Yeah.
And you do feel valued by your team and your management. It's just so different than anything I've experienced. It's like healing balm. It's like lip balm. Like you feel like your lips are all cracked and bruised and bloody, and you're like, wow, I just want some like more lotion,
Yeah.
You feel like that's how I feel. I feel like I'm being lotioned. Like that's the worst. That's the worst thing I've ever said. But I feel like you're finally in a place that you're being taken care of, and it's making sure you're just like continuing to like push yourself, like because when you are, people don't understand how good they have it at some of these companies, and I do understand that because I've been elsewhere. Like I'm used to working every weekend, like I'm not used to, like we work hybrid. Like people are so like greedy sometimes about that. Like they don't realize that's a privilege. Like I'm working this week in Columbus and half in Cleveland. Like that's awesome. So it's recognizing your privilege and being super, super thankful for it. And yes, sometimes it'll be like monotonous, right? Like any job.
Sure.
But it's recognizing like all of the benefits that you get out of those types of situations is like so massive to me.
Because it's a different work style, but you recognize from the gig to gig, now you have this consistent paycheck, you have weekends, and that's like suiting you really well.
Yeah, I feel like it sounds very much like a just give up, kids, and go do corporate. But no, I think it just like shows like, I don't know, people thrive in different environments. Yeah. And there's certain things, like I like certain things to be very like consistent, stable, and I just like thrive in that.
Yeah.
And then I could be a little chaotic, so to speak, chaotic and creative in other areas. But I don't like everything to be that way.
Yeah.
In everything is balance.
Yeah. Ashley, if you could go back to a younger self and like tell yourself something, anything, which part of your life would you go to and what would you say to her?
Okay, I heard Kat Stickler say, I wouldn't tell her anything. It's going to do just fine. And that was that resonated with me more than anything. I don't know. I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, you'd say, good luck, kid.
Because I think I would say, yeah, like good luck. Because I think the journey's not over. Like I could still be on a TV show or like I don't know what the journey is next.
Yeah.
But I'm like so hopeful for like anything. But I'm also not like, oh, I need this thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm so happy I'm not. Because right now, what I love and the studies and the work I've done on myself and like the work on my content and all of that stuff, but more I think I'm internally is I'm focused on what I have control of.
Yeah.
So if you focus on that, you're not like yearning for like the thing. So I'm not like, I need the thing or else like I can't like die or I can't turn 40 or I can't.
Right.
Question for you. Because, okay, so maybe I shouldn't say my age. I was just going to say my age, but
I'm 34. That's already been stated in earlier episodes.
Everyone, I'm 35. I just turned 35. last week or
Happy
last
birthday.
week, 2 weeks ago. Thank you. But my best friend goes, oh my God. And she's turning 35 in like 2 months. But she goes, like, that's like, you're middle. Like, you're, oh my God. And she's like having literally a mental breakdown.
Sure.
And I'm like,
A midlife crisis, as some people
I
say.
literally feel great. And I was like, it's no
good.
big deal. And I go, why do you think you're freaking out about that?
Yeah.
And she goes, I don't know. Like, don't you think it's just sounds so old? I was like, I actually don't.
Yeah.
I think it feels great. And I was like, I feel better now
Purposeful.
than when I was 25. Yeah. Like, I think that's true. Well, I will say at 25, I was doing like cool things like hanging with Seth
I know.
Green. I was like, maybe better now than at like 29.
Sure.
Yeah. But like, I will say like every year we're just getting older. So why would we not just be like, heck yeah, like we're not getting young. Why are we freaking out? Cool.
Yeah, I think,
what is it?
In my experience, like, I think it has to do with the timelines that we set in our minds. Like, I know for me, like, I am a single, childless
cat lady.
That is me, friends. That is me.
Oh my gosh.
But, I'm...
Shout out to all the childless cat ladies out there.
We're ruling the world, is what the consensus is.
World. Taylor Swiftie.
But, but I'm in my mid-30s, and I'm single, and... when I look at different aspects of my life, that being one of them, like that 20-year-old Megan didn't think that 34-year-old Megan would still be single with her cat is one example.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It doesn't matter. But it's like these when I get to this age, I should be here. Having that like should mentality.
Yeah.
And so I think that's potentially a scary part of getting older, because if you find that you've made it to a certain age, but you didn't quote unquote, accomplish that thing that you told yourself you should have, that's when it's like, crap, I'm behind.
Yep.
But like, we don't have to be behind. We could be right where we're supposed to be.
Yeah. I used to have that in Hollywood. And since leaving, I don't have that anymore. But in Hollywood, they definitely make you feel that way. Like by 30, you're like, oh my God, my life's over. Because I'm not a Disney Channel star.
Right. Yeah.
This is literally the most fun because I literally just feel like we're at coffee.
I know. That's like my goal too. And I'm so glad you feel that way, because
you're so good at this that I'm like, wow. I'm like, I don't know what I'm saying. No, but it's really cool because you're making me realize a lot. Like me, even just being like, oh, acting just I'm like, what are you saying?
Yeah. You're like, I was born to be an actress.
No, this is the most fun ever. You're so good at your job. I keep saying your job. I'm just putting it out there.
Does anyone want to pay me to do this? Would love that.
Listen, just keep putting it out there. I have so much to say. Okay,
You're so
continue.
cute. If people are interested to watch your awesome travel videos or learn more about you, where can they go?
All right. Number 1, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where you can find all of our travel videos. Ashley and Alan, ALLAN. You can also follow along on our website where we provide all of our travel content. Check out our Amazon storefront for all of our travel recommendations and blogs. It's just ashleyandallen.com. And then if you want to catch up on my daily insane Looney Tune stories on Instagram and Facebook, it's just my full name, Ashley Bornancin, BORNANCIN, on Instagram and Facebook.
Love that. Ash, thank you so much for spending the evening with me. You're such a delight.
Welcome. This was so fun. Megan got so much out of me. I don't even remember. That's what's so terrible. That's why you're so good at your job. Full time, baby.
You're so funny.
Ads. Bring in the ads. I'm ready for my 30-second ad. Use my code, Megan25 for 25% off. All right, that's enough.
You're the best.
You're the best. Love you guys. Outie.
Hey friends, as always, thank you so much for listening to another episode of The Lives I've Lived. If you're interested in following along with Ashley's travel content or Instagram stories, head over to the show notes for all the links. And if you've been enjoying the show, please feel free to leave a comment, rating, review, or subscribe to future episodes. It would mean so much if you could help me share these beautiful stories and tales of the lives we've lived.